मैत्री भजत अखिल हृजयत्री मैत्रीं भजत अखिल हृजयत्री मैत्रीं भजत अखिल हृजयत्री मैत्रीं भजत अखिल हृजयत्री आत्मवदेव परानपि पश्यत आत्मवदेव परानपि पश्यत आत्मवदेव परानपि पश्यत युद्धं त्यजत स्पर्धा त्यजत युद्धं त्यजत स्पर्धा त्यजत त्यजत परेष्वक्रममाक्रमणं त्यजत परेष्वक्रममाक्रमणं मैत्रीं भजत अखिल हृजयत्री मैत्रीं भजत अखिल परानपि पश्यत आत्मवदेव परानपि पश्यत युद्धं त्यजत स्पर्धा त्यजत युद्धं त्यजत स्पर्धा त्यजत त्यजत परेष्वक्रममाक्रमणं त्यजत परेष्वक्रममाक्रमणं मैत्रीं भजत अखिल हृजयत्री जननी पृथ्वी कामदुगास्ते जननी पृथ्वी कामदुगास्ते जनको देवा सकल दयाळु जनको देवः सकल दयाळु जनको देवः सकल दयाळु दाम्यत दत्त दयत्वं जनता दाम्यत दत्त दयत्वं जनता श्रेयो भूयात् सकल जनानां 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 श्रेयो भूयात् सकल जनान् This is a composition penned by His Holiness, the great Paramacharya of Kanchipuram, Sri Chandrasekhara Saraswati. And it was sung on the United Nations Day at the UN General Assembly at New York by Srimati M.S. Subbulakshmi. In this composition, he says, Maitrim bhajata akila hrijatrim. Cultivate friendship. It is the only way to conquer the hearts of one and all. Atmavadeva paranapi pashyata. Put yourself in others' shoes. See others as thyself. Only then you will understand the problems of one and all. Yuddham tyajata, renounce war. Spardham tyajata, forswear competition. Tyajata pareshva kramama kramanam. Give up aggression. Don't be aggressive. Janani prithvi kamadugaste. This prithvi, this earth is our mother. And why Mother Earth? We get all that we desire. Kamadugaste. She gives us everything that we desire. Dress, clothing, shelter, food, everything. We get it from our Mother Earth. And he goes on to say, Janako devaha sakala dayalu. All of us have one father in common. Sakala dayalu. He is our father, the most compassionate of one and all. So let us all practice Damyata Data Dayadvam Janata. Hey, you people over there. He calls out to us. He says, Damyata, practice restraint. Datta, try to give. Dayadvam, show compassion. And then, Shreyo Bhuryat Sakala Janana. The only way the universe can prosper and be at peace is through restraint, compassion, and charity. So that is the crux of his composition. And there he goes on to say that this earth is our mother. Rabindranath Tagore, in one of his quotes, he says, women are not just the deities of the household fire, but they are the flame of the soul itself. They are not just the deities of the household fire, but the flame of the soul itself. We generally tend to think that only present-day women are really civilized, sophisticated, dynamic, bold, brave, courageous, really cultured, classy, whatever you call, whatever greatest quality. We generally think that only present generation women have all these qualities. And we also have this propensity that yesteryear women, ancient women of India, were always that shy type, timid, real introverts, coy, totally demure, totally sedate, diffident, never confident, and as a result, good for nothing but cooking. That is the general propensity that we have towards ancient Indian women. But if we can just spare an hour off a day and look into the pages of true Indian history, we see that the picture has been so different. The picture has been totally different. Our nation, Bharatavarsha, has revered women from time immemorial. We respect girls, we do Kanya Puja. We respect women, we do Sumangali Puja. And the man is worshipped only if he is along with the woman. It's Dampati Puja. The man is never worshipped alone. Such has been the reverence and veneration that our country, Bharatavarsha, has accorded to women. But where is the spirit now, is the question. The whole scenario is changing. Everything is changing. The crime rate against women is growing at a tantalizing rate. Women are being abused, both physically and psychologically. But our nation has not been so. Our India has been a nation which has always not only worshipped women gods, but has worshipped women as gods. It has not only worshipped women gods, it has worshipped women as gods. Such has been the dignity and decorum that our motherland has given to women. In fact, everywhere, the whole cosmos, if you look at the cosmos, everything has both the man and the woman, both genders. If you call Akasha, the sky, as the male, then Prithvi becomes female. The earth becomes female. If you call the sun, the Surya Devata, as male, then its chaya, the shadow, becomes female. If you want to call Sagara, the sea, the ocean, as male, then the rivers, Nadi, become female. That's why in India, all the rivers have feminine names. Ganga, Yamuna, Saraswati, Godavari, Narmada, Kaveri. Everything is female. Even in Carnatic classical music, if Nada is considered masculine, Nada Tanumanisham Shankaram. If Nada is considered masculine, Raga is considered feminine. That is why all the ragas have female names. Lalita, Vasanta, Saraswati, Kalyani, Bhairavi, Saramati, Neelambari, Bhagyashri, Rasikapriya. You go on and on and on. Most of the names, 99% of the names are female names. You name any quality, noble quality, Shraddha, sincerity. You take any noble quality from the Sanskrit dictionary, it has the feminine gender. Shraddha, sincerity, is a feminine gender. Bhakti, devotion, again feminine gender. Kshama, forgiveness, it's again a feminine gender. Daya, compassion, again feminine. Prema, love, again feminine gender. Somebody met me recently and he asked me, how come all these noble qualities have feminine gender? All these are represented by females. How come all the noble qualities are represented by the female gender and none of the today's females have all these noble qualities? How come all these have only the feminine gender and none of today's females have all these qualities? Doesn't it sound oxymoronic to you? He asked me. I had to just smile because that is the blatant truth today. More and more women want to be men. More and more women do not want to be women. That identity crisis is the SOS today. It calls for an SOS. It's a virus. It's a virus which is spreading so infectiously that an antidote has to be found out immediately. And towards that initiative is this program, Women of Wisdom, presented by Science Masterminds. Everything that is to be respected, I just told you, is referred to as the female and specifically as the mother. That is why we call our nation Matrubhumi. We call it our motherland. Our regional language, we call it the mother tongue. Anything that is to be revered and respected, it is called specifically as the mother. So do we have women throughout the cosmos. Even right from insects, you have the queen bee and the male bee. You have women and bees and birds and beings. It's like two sides of the same coin. The man and the woman, they are complementary, on par. They work together, they are harmonious, and never has the dominance of one over the other been a problem until recent years. Without the other side of the coin can never be complete, and it has no value. That is what is represented by the Ardhanarishwara Tattva of Shiva. Half his body is Shiva, half his body is Shakti. Shakti ilena Shivane nokara vendiyadha. Shivanukku value kediyadhu. Without Shakti, Shiva has to just sit down. Shivane nokara vendiyadhu solluva Tamil. So that is the importance given to women. But now the question is there a bias, gender bias? And if there is, should it exist? And if it exists, is it good for the society? All these questions have been discussed right from the Vivekananda Swami's times. In one of his conversations with his disciples, Vivekananda Swami says, the soul has no gender. The soul can be male, it can be female. Parabrahma does not have a gender. And every soul has this right to salvation. Every soul has the right to liberation. If that is the case, every woman has the right to Brahma Vichara. Parabrahma can be perceived as Shiva, Madhava, or Brahma, or as Sita, Gauri, Sita, Gauri, Sita, Gauri, Sita, Gauri, Vagishwari, Anu, Sita, Gauri. This is a composition of Tyagaraja Swami. See, the Western concept of God is that God is only man, and that the woman has been born from a man. This is the Western concept. And I have to add one more thing. The woman has been born from a man for a man. That is their concept. So in the West, always women are regarded as just objects of sensual pleasure. But ancient Indian women were never regarded so. That is why we have Tyagaraja Swami singing that Parabrahma can be in the form of Shiva, Madhava, Brahma, Dula, or Sita, Gauri, Vagishwari. Where are you? God, where are you? He asks. Eta Unara. Where are you? Eta Unara. This is in Telugu composition. Where are you? Are you in the male as Shiva, Brahma or Madhava? Or are you in the female as Sita, Gauri, Vagishwari? Vagishwari is Saraswati. Or are you in the Bhukamala? Anila Nava. Are you in the Bhumi? Or are you in the sun? Or are you in the Akasha? Are you in the Jala? Are you in the Vayu? Or are you in the crores of the galaxies that you have created yourself? I know that you are everywhere, but I also know that I do not have the potential to see you everywhere. That is my mistake. That is not your fault. Please bless me with that vision that I can see you at all times and in all beings. That is his prayer. In another Kirtana, he says, give me that boon that I can perceive Parabrahma at all times and in all beings around me. So, all the composers, the great composers, they have sung about women. And women, not only women, I told you, not only women gods, but women as gods. That is why I always tell, generally when people, sometimes some of the Indian women question me, why have there not been so many women liberation associations like the West? We should have also had this more and more upsurge of women liberation associations. Don't you think there is not adequate women liberation associations? That was a question posted to me recently. And I answered, only if you have a fever, you will take a paracetamol. Without the fever, if you take a paracetamol, then it's only going to cause you side effects when everything is going on smooth. Only if you have a problem, you need a solution. In the West, women were not treated on par with men. They were brutally abused, and until very recent years, they did not even have voting rights. I don't know if all of you know that or not. Voting rights. They did not even have voting rights. Millions of women had been burned. They were treated like dogs. They were used as objects. They were always treated as amusement articles. And therefore, there was a need for the upsurge of women liberation associations. But in India, right from our gods, Brahma has Saraswati on his tongue. Narayan has Lakshmi in his bosom. And Shiva, I told you, has Shakti as his other half. Where is the need for the Women's Liberation Association if we can follow the ancient Vedic Indian culture? Only if we want to follow and adopt the Western ideals, we always take the worst from all the nations. That's India's best. We always want to take, every nation has its own good and bad. We always have that beautiful idea, concept of taking the worst from all the nations and present the worst of ourselves. When we have everything in ourselves, we don't know to glorify ourselves. That is the weakness of Indians. We have so much in us. We have so much of treasure in us. We Navayugas 3, present generation women, Gen Y, what we would prefer to call. We just have our husbands' names after our names, like Vishaka Hari or Meenakshi Srinivasan or Vanita Siddhartha, whatever it is. We just have our husband's name after our name. But you know, our lords had their names after their wives' names. Gauri Shankar, Lakshmi Narayan, Sita Ram, Janaki Vallabh. Just, that is the truth. Uma Maheshwar, you name him. Radha Krishnan. You name any god. They went a step further. They went a step ahead. They had so much of reverence for women. And we are trying to bring it down more and more and more. So the problem is not only with the other gender, it's with the women also. So it calls for a synthesis of both the gender to behave well so that they would respect us well. Real beauty lies in dignity and decorum and not in ridicule and derision. It is a present generation society which is treating women as just entertainment parts, where you see any ads, you see any soaps, any television serials, you just go through the newspapers or magazines or journals, any woman would be just featured as an amusement article. And that is not beauty. Think it's beauty. Real beauty does not come from that. It comes from dignity, rights versus reverence. You always lock up gold in your bureau. You don't do that to stainless steel. That's why generally when women ask that they have not been given the equal rights vis-a-vis the men, I would tell them, you are gold, they are stainless steel. That is why you have less rights and they have more rights. Or whatever you respect more, you lock it up. You carefully preserve it. So there is no question of being ill-treated at all. The more you revere a person, the more you respect a person, the right comes down, no? That's what happens to you. And that's why we have taken up a few stories, a few inspirational stories of ancient, age-old stories maybe, but old is always gold. So inspirational stories of women who have brought about positive change throughout the world by their wisdom, by their will, by their courage, by their noble qualities. And their nobility has crossed all gender, all caste, all creed, and all nation. So we just start with one of the greatest inspirational stories, Srimati Sharda Devi. Sharda Devi, Srimati Sharda Devi, Srimati Sharda Devi, Tasya Patni Pativrata Srimati Sharda Devi, Tasya Patni Pativrata Swakiye Pitrige Hetun Jaya Ramapure Avasati Jaya Ramapure Avasati Parinita Adibale Saya Rama Krishnena Dhimata Rama Krishnena Rama Krishnena Rama देवयौवनं प्राप्ताया जगन्माता 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 तु शारदा जगन्माता तु शारदा माता तु शारदा माता तु मा 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 जगन्माता 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 माता 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 तु शारदा माता तु शारदा माता तु We begin with this inspirational story of a little girl called Sharda. Sharada Jaya Rama Pure Avasat. These shlokas are from the Grantha Vaishnava Samhita, which has been composed by my revered father-in-law, Sri Krishna Premi Swamigal, fondly called as Sri Anna. This little girl, Sharda, was living in Jairambadi. She was a very sweet, little, hard-working girl. She used to help her mother and both her parents with all their domestic affairs. She used to grind the batter, the flour, she used to stitch, she used to cook, she used to serve. Those days, women had to do everything with their own hands, no machines, unlike today where we have mixies, grinders, microwaves, doing everything, finish off the work in half an hour, and sit before the TV the whole day and get a lot of diseases, sugar, pressure, thyroid, everything, do the blood test every day, and go to the doctor along with the prescription. He says, do some yogasanas, do this way, do it this way, use some physiotherapy. Adhik thuniye unathirkalam. We could have as well dried the cloth on the cloth line, doing it this way and that way, would have ground the flour ourselves, batter. So he does that. Those days, physical work, lot of physical work, and they were always healthy. This Sharda, just a 5 little small girl, she used to help her parents with all their work. It was at this point of time that the parents of a boy called Gadai were in search for a suitable bride. This Gadai was none other than the great Ramakrishna Paramahams. Gadai was falling into a trance every now and then, and his parents knew not what to do. Somebody advised the parents of Gadai, marry him off, he'll be all right. So they were on the lookout for a bride, but the search was really frantic. They could not get a bride. Suddenly Gadai looked at his parents and he said, Mama, don't search for the bride. The bride is at Jairambadi and is known by the name Sharda. Everybody was surprised. He had not seen Sharda before. Through his insight, he had said, this little girl lives in Jairambadi and she would be my wife. And the marriage took place. It was a simple event but very elegantly conducted. The age difference between Sharda and Ramakrishna Paramahams was huge. Because in those days, marriages would be early marriages. But it would consummate only after the girl reached the adolescence. So Sharda was living with her parents in Jairambadi. Meanwhile, Gadai had to go to Dakshineshwar to help his brother out. And there, he performed his sadhanas. He became Ramakrishna Paramahams. Years flew by. And now it was the time for Sharda to unite with her husband. Anybody who came from Dakshineshwar, she used to inquisitively run to that yatrika, that pilgrim, and she used to ask, are you coming from Dakshineshwar? Did you see my husband Ramakrishna Paramahams there? And they would say, oh my dear, is he your husband? He has turned a lunatic. Don't you know? He's rolling down on the ground. He's rolling on the dust. He sometimes cries, he sometimes laughs, he weeps sometimes. He's gone mad, he's gone out of his senses. Some others would say, no, my dear Sharda, he's become a yogi. He would not see any woman in his lifetime. Yogis are not supposed to see women at all. And Sharda had tears in her eyes. She started walking her way out of the house. Her parents said, where are you going, Sharda? I'm going to Dakshineshwar. Dakshineshwar? For what? I'm going to get united with my husband, Ramakrishna Paramahams. But didn't you hear the news right now? He's of no use to you. He has gone lunatic. He has gone insane. He is of no use to you, Sharda. My child, listen to me. Her parents said. And Sharda Devi then said, it seems, I'm not going to Dakshineshwar so that he would be useful to me. I'm going to Dakshineshwar so that I would be useful to him. I'm not going to Dakshineshwar so that he will be of use to me and he would earn and make me such a rich and wealthy lady and give me all opulence and affluence. If he has gone mad, Papa, she says, if he has gone mad, if he has gone lunatic, if he has gone insane, then it is now that he needs me more than ever. Because who will look after him? Who look after his physical well-being? They could not say anything because Sharda's mind, her intentions, everything was so noble. She ran all her way as a single yatrika. She ran all her way from Jairambadi to Dakshineshwar. She did not know what kind of welcome or what kind of reception she would get there. In fact, Ramakrishna Paramahams might not even recognize Sharda. He might not even recognize her, he might not even know her. But still, she goes with mixed feelings and emotions. There, at Dakshineshwar, she sees Ramakrishna Paramahamsa seated under a banyan tree with a serene, calm face, lotus eyes closed in deep meditation. Tatra savata vrikshasya samipe shanta vigraham dhyanamilitanetrapcha dhyanamilitanetrapjam आसीनञ्च सुखासने साक्षात् गदाधरञ्चाद्यलीलया नररूपिणं धर्मं पारमहंस्यञ्च पालयन्तं जगद्गुरुं तत्र सा वटवृक्षस्य समीपे under a beautiful huge banyan tree, she sees Ramakrishna Paramahamsa. Shanta Vigraham, serene, calm, Dhyana Milita Netrabjam, his eyes closed in deep meditation. And then tears are coursing down the cheeks of Sharda. She feels so proud to be the wife of a great jnani. She's waiting behind a tree. And she just, now and then she looks whether he's opened his eyes. She's waiting for Ramakrishna Paramahamsa to open his eyes. She does not know what is going to happen in a few seconds. Just then Ramakrishna Paramahamsa opens his eyes. He looks at Sharada Devi. He goes running to her with stretched arms. He says, "Oh my dear, how long have I waited for you? Do you know? How long this wait has been for me? All along I've waited for you, O Holy Mother. Do you know something? Sharda, all that is mine is yours now, including myself. Everything that I own is yours, including me. And now I would like to tell you something, Sharda. I perceive every woman in this world as the Holy Mother. And do you know the primary person I see as the Holy Mother? It's you, Sharda. I see you as the Holy Mother, as Jaganmata tu Sharada. I see you as not only my mother, as the mother of the entire universe. I see you as Jaganmata, so you deserve to be worshipped by me." He asks Sharda Devi to sit down, and he starts, Paramahamsa himself starts worshipping his wife as Bhavatarini, as Mother Kali, as Goddess Kali, the destroyer of all the dukkha-dino tarini, durito harini, dino tarini, durito harini, dino tarini, durito harini, shaktaraja-stama triguna darini, dino tarini, durito harini, shaktaraja-stama triguna darini, Srijana palana, Srijana palana, Nidhana karini, Saguna nirguna, Sarva swarupini, Dhino tarini, Durita harini, Shaktaraja-stama triguna dharini, Srijana palana, Nidhana karini, Saguna nirguna, Sarva swarupini, Dhino Tvam hi Kali, Tvam hi Kali, Tvam hi Kali, Tvam hi Kali, Tara Parama Prakriti, Tvam hi Meena Kurma Varaha Pravrihi, त्वं हि काली तारा परमा प्रकृति त्वं हि मीना कूर्मा वराह प्रवृत्ति त्वं हि स्थल जल अनिलय नील त्वं हि स्थल जल अनिलय नील त्वं हि गम वाम केश प्रशभि शङ्खपातो जल मे मनशतन तन तन शोधार गुलशेषि को वेदांत त्वमे होदांत कोतापि कोतापि जानीते पाठिनि निरुपाति अति अंतरहित कोटिते साधक जनरहित गणेशादि पंथ गणेशनि पंथ रूपे गणपंथ भव भयहर भव भयहर पिकलपति दीनो तारिणि दूरी कहारिणि दीनो तारिणि दूरी हारिणि दीनो तारिणि दीनो तारिणि दूरितं शाकर साधके तुम्हें जय शाकर साधके तुम्हें जय शाकर माया निराकार रूपे शाके निराकार रूपे के हो काय रुद्र ज्योतिर्मय से तुम्ही ना है तनय जननी तनय जननी दे अवधि जारे तो बेशबे है से अवदेशी से पर ब्रह्म को तत्पर तुरीय अनिर्वचनीय तत्पर तुरीय अनिर्वचनीय सकली मातारा तिलक बैठनी दीनो तारिणि दूरी तो हरिणि दीनो दीनो तारिणि दीनो तारिणि दीनो तारिणि दीनो तारिणि दीनो तारिणि दीनो तारिणि नो तारिणि दुरित हरिणि दीन तारिणि दुरित हरिणि दीन दीन तारिणि त्वं हि वराहं त्वं हि प्रकृति त्वं हि मा निराकार साकार निराकार This song is in Bengali. It is from Ramakrishna Kathamrita, where he sings, Ramakrishna Paramahamsa himself sings, you are the savior of the Dina, of those who are really depressed, of those who are really distressed. You're the savior of the distressed, the protector of the helpless. He worships Sharda Devi himself, and from that time onwards, Sharda Devi also began her sadhana along with Paramahams. She showed that a householder's family, the Grihastha is not necessarily just for physical union, but it can be for spiritual enlightenment too. Sharda Devi proved to the world that marriage is not just a marriage for physical union, but marriage is essentially a marriage of hearts. It's essentially a marriage of hearts where you can serve each other, where you can sacrifice for each other, where you can love each other, where you can care for each other. And she had subdued all her senses. She proved to the world that lust was just physical and temporary, but love is pure and permanent. Lust and love, that is just a subtle line of difference. Kama, prema. Ennala ulahathukku enna அப்படினா prema. உலகத்தால எனக்கு என்ன லாபம் அப்படினா காமம். That difference is very subtle, a very thin line of difference. How I can be useful to others is love. How others are useful to me is just selfishness. That is just lust. Sharda Devi proved that even in a young age, she had so much of maturity, that simple-heartedness, that noble quality of sacrifice. She exemplifies sacrifice. She exemplifies daya, compassion. Even today, there are so many women helping out their husbands or brothers or fathers in mental asylums. How do you think they would help if they did not have that love for each other? There are so many women helping out, even if the husband is poor, even if he's handicapped. I know of a woman who proposed to marry a person who did not have both hands, both legs. He was just paralyzed. She still lives in a serene village. They started an institution that's near Kadayanallur. No? It's called Amar Seva Sangam. They started an institution. It was founded by a single person who had just brains, no body. Entire body was paralyzed. No hands, nothing works. Nothing below the head works. But he says, I'm fortunate and I have so much of God's grace. When I asked him, how could you say that? I thought you would be complaining that God has given you such a great misfortune. You would be so unhappy. You say you have so much of God's grace. How do you say that? And he told me, just imagine the other way around. Everything else works. The brain doesn't work. And I'm done. I'm gone. But for me, everything else does not work. My brain works. And it is here that he has given that grace, that mercy. We complain for so small things, so trivial things we complain, no? But just look at great people. They never complain. They always look at that opportunity, even in all that negativity. Even in all the negativity, they take up that positivity. That's how he founded that great institution, which can serve which is still serving thousands and hundreds and lakhs of similarly handicapped people, similarly mentally distorted, mentally disordered, so many students who are suffering from so many other diseases. And behind all that is one lady who offered to marry him, taking him as he was. She knew that before marriage. She loved him before marriage, and she offered to marry him after what the accident happened. He was supposed to be a military person. He just slipped off from a mountain cliff. That was the last test. Now they have taken off the test, that exam. If you have to be an army officer, you have to jump from steep hills, no? When he was just jumping from a hill, he fell off. And that was why the whole body was paralyzed. But that lady still continued to marry him, and that whole institution, I would say, it comes not only from the brain of that man, but from the love of that woman. Just imagine, she is the energy, the support, the moral support. But now, present generation, everything is changing. A decade back, it was not like this. Now, present day, youngsters, young men, if they lose their job, they lose their wife, their life alone. Finished. Everything is finished. You lose the job. Why losing? Just say, I don't want Dubai, I don't want America, I'll settle down in India. It's okay, I've earned enough, I'll come back to India, and that's it, divorce. Next day, paper comes. Why? Why is this happening? And why is this happening in our nation? That is the question. Our nation has been the idealistic role model for all the other nations in the world. The true Indian spirit of womanhood has been so celebrated in this nation. And it is now that we need to revive our age-old ancient culture, that tradition, that noble value, that giving and taking, that sacrifice, everything. So a woman does not just exemplify, or is not just an epitome of sacrifice. She is the epitome of education, wisdom too. Everything that is wise is related to a woman. See, the goddess of learning is Saraswati Devi. We have a picture of Saraswati Devi here. Goddess of wisdom is again Saraswati Devi. We also say Vidya Lakshmi, no? Vidya Lakshmi bestows us wisdom. Kalayum kalviyum oru manidanakku rendu kannu pole. Art and education are like two eyes for a man. We would generally say in Tamil, Katravanakku sellum edamellam sirappu. A king is a king only in his kingdom, but an educated man is the king throughout the globe, because the whole world becomes his kingdom. So education is so important. And again, we have this feeling that only the Britishers tried to educate girl children. And it was this great system of Macaulay, Lord Macaulay, that English system. Otherwise, we would have really been illiterates. And that is again a very wrong impression, because if you look at the Vedic period women, they were all very, very well educated. Vedic women at the Vedic age were very well learned. They were also Brahmavadinis, mantra darshinis. They had discovered even mantras. Like rishis, we had rishi patnis. They had the right to Brahma Vichara. And one example would be Gargi. The next story would be a beautiful story of this lady called Gargi. She belonged to the Vedic age. She was born of the Garga Gotra. That's why she was named Gargi. In the Vedic age, women had equal rights to education. And usually they were Vidvat Sadas. See, a meeting like this where people used to discuss mostly on philosophical issues. And there at the court of Janaka Maharaja, there was a Vidvat Sadas. All the great seers who had invented mantras. Mantras are like missiles. See, these rishis are not just people who had long beards and sitting in deep meditation. We always have this wrong impression. All our notions are preconceived, prejudiced against ourselves. That is the best part. But these rishis are like scientists. They are prophets of religion. Albert Einstein himself said, you may say, religion without science is blind. But I also would like to add, science without religion is lame. He says, Albert Einstein himself says, Einstein was such a great scientist. And he himself says, religion without science could be blind, but science without religion is equally lame. You need to harmonize and synchronize both. And that was what Swami Vivekananda did. And now this is a golden period, because with the invention of planetarium software and marine archaeology and more scientific discoveries, you have this relativity, quantum physics, relativity theorem, and so much of science. It is science and our Sanatana Dharma are merging into one and the same. Our religion is proving more and more scientific, because all our rishis were the first ones to describe the beautiful planets, the beautiful galaxies, Everything around, right from molecules, right from atoms, they have described everything in the Puranas, the epics, and the Itihasas. So this Gargi, she was invited to this Vidvat Sadas. Everybody was debating. Usually you know how a debate goes. How an assembly in the parliament goes. There is no conclusion. That is an assembly. There's no conclusion, only chaos. One see, not the other see. Chaos, no conclusion. That is the general definition of an assembly. Here too, nobody was able to conclude who the best speaker was. And suddenly, unanimously, all of them decided that Gargi would be the judge to this great assembly of speakers. Just imagine a lady being the moderator, where all the rishis and seers had joined to speak on philosophical issues. And Gargi declared that Yajnavalkya was the best speaker. And Yajnavalkya, in his acceptance speech, I just wanted to take this point to tell you that Indian women were so much educated right from the beginning, and this system of education was not introduced suddenly from nowhere. And we need not think that we were all illiterates long back. We were so literate, and we knew what true education meant. Education ends in character building. Education, the true education, was imparted in the Vedic period. And Yajnavalkya said, having been chosen as the best speaker by Gargi herself, I feel so proud because I know that women are embodiments of purity. The Gandharvas have given them the sweet speech, and Agni Devata has given them the purity. So I respect women, and I'm so happy that Gargi herself has given me this honor. Such was the dignity of the women during the Vedic period. That's why Mahakavi Bharadiyar says, don't see Saraswati in just one lady. Saraswati is in all women. Saraswati is in the honeyed voice of a woman. Saraswati is in the cooing of the cuckoo. Saraswati is in the beautiful aesthetic painting. She is in the artistic beauty of the crescendo of the gopuram of a temple. She is in the prattle of a child. She is there in the white lotus. Vellai tamarai பூவில் இருப்பாள் வீணை செய்யும் ஒலியில் இருப்பாள் வெள்ளை தாமரை பூவில் இருப்பாள் வீணை செய்யும் ஒலியில் இருப்பாள் வெள்ளை தாமரை பூவில் இருப்பாள் வீணை செய்யும் ஒலியில் இருப்பாள் வீணை செய்யும் 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 ஒலியில் வெள்ளை தாமரை பூவில் இருப்பாள் வீணை செய்யும் ஒலியில் இருப்பாள் வீணை செய்யும் ஒலியில் இருப்பாய் கொள்ளையில் பம் குலவு கவிதை கொள்ளையில் பம் குலவு கவிதை கொள்ளையில் பம் குலவு கவிதை ஒரு பாவலர் உளத்திருப்பான் கொள்ளையில் குலவே கவிதை ஒரு பாவலர் உளத்திருப்பாள் வெள்ளை தாமரை ஒலியில் இருப்பாள், வீணை ஒலியில் இருப்பாள், உலவு கவிதை கூறும் பாவலர், பாவலர் உள்ள திருப்பாள் இருப்பாள், வெள்ளை தாமரை உள்ளதாம் பொருள் தேடி உணர்ந்தேன், உள்ளதாம் பொருள் தேடி உணர்ந்தேன், உள்ளதாம் பொருள் தேடி உணர்ந்தேன், உள்ளதாம் பொருள் தேடி உணர்ந்தேன், ஓதும் வேதத்தில் உள்நின் நுழைவான் கள்ளமற்ற முனிவர்கள் கூறும், கள்ளமற்ற முனிவர்கள் கூறும், கள்ளமற்ற முனிவர்கள் கூறும், கருணை வாசகத்து பொருளாம், கள்ளமற்ற முனிவர்கள் கூறும், கருணை வாசகத்துள் பொருளாவாய், வெள்ளை தாமரை மாதத்தேன் குரல், மாதத்தேன் குரல், மாதத்தேன் குரல், மாதத்தேன் மாதத்தேன் குரல் பாட்டில் இருப்பாள், மக்கள் பேசும் மழலையில் உள்ளாள், கீதம் பாடும் குயிலில் குரலை, கிளியில் நாவை பிறப்பிடம் கொண்டாள், கீதம் பாடும் குயிலில் குரலை, கிளியில் நாவை இருப்பிடம் கொண்டாள், கோரகன்ற தொழிலுடை தாய், கோரகன்ற தொழிலுடை தாகி, கோரகன்ற தொழிலுடை தாகி, குலவு சித்திரம் கோபுரம் கோயில், குலவு சித்திரம் கோபுரம் கோயில், ஈதனை எழிலிடு ஒன்றாள், ஈதனை எழிலிடு ஒன்றாள், இன்பமே வடிவாகிட பெற்றாள், இன்பமே வடிவாகிட பெற்றாள், இன்பமே வடிவாகிட பெற்றாள், வெள்ளை தாமரை ஊரிருப்பாள், வீணை செய்யும், வீணை செய்யும், வீணை செய்யும் ஒலியில் இருப்பாள், Mahakavi Bharatiyar has sung a lot on Pen Vidudalai, on the liberation of women. But in what sense? During his period, women were oppressed. They suffered. They were not allowed to go to school. The picture in the mid, see, after the Vedic period comes the Ramayana time, and after that the Mahabharata time, and after that, India was invaded, culturally eroded. That was during the time of the invasion, both during the Mughal invasion, the Muslim rule, as well as the Britishers. This invasion brought in a lot of changes in the scenario of the spirit of womanhood. So the Vedic Ramayana, Mahabharata, Bhagavad time was a golden age for women. Slowly, because of the invasions, the scenario of the spirit of womanhood also underwent a change. And then came the present period where it's the worst, I would say. Even the invasion period, we were just invaded physically. But now, worse than the physical invasion is this cultural erosion where we take up to other nations' ideals, other nations' views and opinions. See, I just told you there were many women who were even mantra darshanis, who were inventors of mantras, who sang suktas. There are more than 30 women in the Rig Veda and more than 180 women in the 4 Vedas put together who have sung suktas for the welfare of the universe, so that the progeny would be imparted true knowledge and true wisdom. There have been so many mantra darshinis. Gargi was just one example I gave you. There have been Vishwavara, Aphala, Vagdevi, Maitreyi. In fact, the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, the chapter itself is a conversation between Yajnavalkya and Maitreyi. The conversation between a husband and a wife becomes an Upanishad. So just imagine the way women had been educated. The conversation between a husband and a wife becomes an Upanishad, Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. Such was the level of a woman during that period. So, that is why, after this change in this scenario, Mahakavi Bharatiyar sang about Pen Vidudalai. And he also said, don't keep on pestering that chastity is the most important factor for woman. Chastity is equally important for a man. He said, let us place chastity equally for a man and a woman, and let us celebrate a woman. Only that nation which celebrates woman rises. That is said in the Manusmriti also. In the Viduraniti, in Sanat Sujatiyam, and Manusmriti, there are so many quotes where all of them say, that nation grows where the woman is celebrated. That nation falls where the woman is treated badly. And now, since there are more and more cases of women abuse, the nation will not rise. And the only way the nation can rise is to bring back to the woman the reverence and the veneration and the respect. That is why we are all trying. And that's why in this song also he says, see, you see that Saraswati in every person. We look at all the other women other than the wife as mothers. That has to be the Indian ideal. And that Indian ideal has to be inculcated right from day one into our children. That is the only solution. Because you cannot just educate women about women. Men also have to be educated about women and how men have treated women in the past. Try to teach your son to respect your daughter. Try to teach your brother to respect your sister. See, everything is both way. Everything goes hand in hand. So this harmony can come only if both the genders understand. See, Gandhiji has talked so much, has spoken so much about Indian womanhood. Rabindranath Tagore has given so many quotes about Indian womanhood. Vivekananda Swami has spoken to Sister Nivedita. In fact, Bharatiyar has written verses on Sister Nivedita. It need not, see, the Indian woman does not mean she has to be an Indian. It can be any woman following the Indian spirit. That's why we have Aurobindo's mother, no? Mother of Pondicherry, we celebrate her. Would you say she is not an Indian? We consider her the Indian woman because Indian is not from the place of birth, but from your spirit, from the intention. She lived the Indian way. That's why we have so much of reverence for mother. Aurobindo was inspired by mother. That's why we have so many great men talking about them. So Bharatiyar composed on Sister Nivedita. And here he says, Saraswati resides in the beautiful white lotus. I can hear Saraswati in the sound of a veena. I can hear her in the honeyed voice of a lady. I can hear Saraswati in the prattle of a child, in the cooing of a cuckoo, in the sugary speech of a parrot. I can see Saraswati in the beauty of a painting. I can see her in the crescendo, in the gopuram of a temple, and in the innocent, compassionate speech of a good man. He says this. If a man speaks softly, kind words, then Saraswati lies in those words. Saraswati lies in him, in the Dhwani of the Vedas, and the charm of the poem. I can see Saraswati everywhere. She's not just a woman on a painting, in a picture. She's not just a goddess. She's there everywhere. That is what all of us are trying to relate to. And so, having considered the Vedic period, having given the example of Gargi, I'd like to give one more quote where we generally think that Vedic women, now we have the impression that yes, they were educated. Yes, so what? They were just educated. They were not exposed to any other field. Again, that is also a wrong impression, because there have been many women in the Vedic period who have even fought battles. It seems they could even wield swords. There was one Vadrimati who was fighting in the battle. She lost her hand, it seems. And immediately she was fitted with a golden hand and she resumed her war. This was when, ages back, in the Vedic period. What can you understand from this? Women not only fought, but there was some kind of a surgery where if you lose your hand, it could be fitted with a golden hand, or if you lose the leg. Vishpala lost her leg while fighting in the battle, and her leg was fitted with an iron leg instead. So all this is not recent invention. It was all there during the Vedic period. It is just that we have to realize that it was with us. This realization has to dawn. That is it. So whatever it is, now that we know that the Vedic period was the best period where all of them were respected and revered, whether it's Sharda Devi or whether it's millions of other women living today, all of us have one idealistic example. And if we follow that example of womanhood, the nation will always rise. Vivekananda Swami says. It's Vivekananda Swami's words, not mine. That perfected idealistic womanhood comes from that single life of that single woman. Who is she? Sitamma Mayamma, Sitamma Mayamma, Sitamma Mayamma, Sitamma Mayamma, Sitamma Mayamma, Parashara Narada Shaunaka Shuddha Paramesha Vasishta Parashara Narada Shaunaka Shuddha Surapati Gautama Lambadara Shuka Sanatadu Surapati Gautama Lambadara Shuka Sanatadu Dharanija Bhagavata Dharanija Bhagavata Varellanu Dharanija Bhagavata Sarulavaru Varellanu Dharanija Bhagavata Sarulavaru Varellanu Varatyaga Rajuniki Varatyaga Rajuniki Varatyaga Rajuniki Dharanija Bhagavata Sarulavaru Varellanu Varatyaga Rajuniki Parama Bhagavuru Manasa Varatyaga Rajuniki Parama Bhagavuru Manasa Sitam Ayama Shri Ramudu Madalvi Sitam There are many compositions on women. Here he says, Sita Devi, Tyagaraja Swami's composition again. He says, Sita Devi is my mother. Sri Ramachandra is my father. Hanuman, Garuda, Shatrughna, Bharata are all my brothers. No one can call me an orphan. Somebody said, that boy was born of an unknown father. He only knew his mother's name. He did not know his father's name. Everybody was ridiculing him. Oh, this boy, he doesn't know his father's name. Who is his father? Nobody knows. Born of an ill fame. Everybody was saying that. Suddenly a great saint met that boy. And he said, don't you worry that all the people around you are saying, you don't know your father. All of them, they think that they know their father. They only know their mortal father. And so they say they are the sons of such and such a person. I am the son of this person. I am the son of that person. I am son of this Mahalingam. I am son of Ramanathan. I am son of Ramamurthy. You are really privileged because you don't know your mortal father. You are the son of that God, my dear child. They cannot call them sons of that Almighty. You can call yourself son of God. Tyagaraja Swami says that everybody calls me an orphan, but I am not an orphan. When I have Jagannatha as my Natha, why should I call myself an orphan? My father is Ramachandra Murthy, and my mother is none other than the greatest, idealistic, perfected woman, Sita. Vivekananda Swami says, when he was talking to Sister Nivedita, he has given beautiful quotes. And he says, Sita has gone. I'll just read exactly what he has said so that I don't miss out even a single word. Sita is unique. That character of Sita is depicted once and for all. Sita is the very type of the true Indian woman for all Indian women to follow. And that ideal of a perfected woman has grown out of that one single life of Sita.
all our mythology may vanish. But as long as there will be a single person living here, even if he is speaking the most vulgar pathos, most vulgar language, mark my words, there will be the story of Sita. Because Sita has gone into the very vitals of our race. She's the blood of not only every Indian woman, but the blood of every Indian man too. We are all but children of that one Sita. That was what Tyagaraja Swami also says. I'm your child, Sitamma. I'm your child. All of them have sung such compositions. There are compositions in Kannada, compositions in Telugu, Marathi, Bengali, everywhere, where they sing Sita as the mother. Where they say, Mother, I'm your son, I'm your daughter. What is the significance attached to the Sita? Why is she celebrated so much? Many people think Sita means that very shy type, really introvert. She did only what Rama wanted her to do. She was never courageous. She was never bold. She was never brave. All this is the picture that we get of Sita. We imagine Sita means always crying, 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 crying. No, Sita's picture was not like that. If she did not have true courage, how then do you think she would have offered to go into the forest along with Rama without a single rupee in her hand? What is true woman empowerment? What is true women empowerment? The power to face challenges. That power to face challenges, Sita is the idealistic woman. When can you see that? Dasharatha and Kaikeyi call Rama into their inner apartment. Kaikeyi says, Rama, there is no Pattabhisheka for you. Tomorrow it's cancelled. Instead, you have to go to the forest for 14 years. Rama smiles and he says, very good, thank you. He does namaskara, everything, all that we know. He comes back to his wife. Now just imagine, he has to tell his wife that he has been cheated. That he will neither have the kingdom, nor should stay in the kingdom. He has to go to the forest for 14 years. Imagine how a husband would tell this to his wife. Ayyo, enak poch. Sita, poch. Ellam poch. Hematitar. Engappa hematitar. I have been grossly cheated. Rama did not say that. The reaction of Rama and Sita during this your character is proved only when you face crisis. When you're happy, everything is happy. When you're unhappy, how you behave is what determines your character. Your character is determined not during your happy times, but during your unhappy times, when you face crisis. And only people celebrate you when you behave well, even in the time of crisis. No? So that is the biggest, the mega event in Ramayana. When Rama comes to Sita, he says, oh Sita, I have to tell you something. That's a very sensitive issue. So he can't break it out. He can't break the news just like that. So he says, Sita, my beloved lady, he's all along adored Sita, admired Sita for all her qualities. But this is the first time in Ayodhya Kanda he opens his mouth and he praises Sita. He says, Hule mahati sambhute Hule mahati Hule mahati sambhute dharmajne dharmacharini dharmacharini shunu janaki shunu janaki yene kramena vyagadam mama kramena vyagadam चतुर्दश हि वर्षाणि वस्तव्यं दण्डके मया पित्रा मे भरतश्च यौवराजे नियोजितैगा जानकी शृणु शृणु जानकी शृणु शृणु
Ah. Oh. Such a sensitive issue. Rama comes, he wants to call Sita. How has he to start the conversation? How should he start the conversation? He says, Kule Magati Sambhute. These verses are from Valmiki's Ramayana. O you Sita, born of a great Kula. If a person is born of a great dynasty, it means that the ancestors would have taught her great virtues. So, Mahati Sambhute, that samskar would be there, no? That culture, that tradition. But nowadays, even if you are born of a great family, I don't know if it passes on. Because the parents should first have the samskar and then only they can teach the children the samskar. So, Kule Mahati Sambhute, born of a great dynasty. Then he says, that's not enough. Dharmajnaya. I know that you are a repository of dharma. You know dharma. You are a real virtuous lady. But knowing alone is not enough. Everybody knows Matrudevo Bhava, Pitrudevo Bhava. Everybody knows that we have to respect our parents. We have to love our mother and father. We know, but we put them in the old age homes. We don't practice what we know. So just knowing is not sufficient. You have to practice. You have to be a practitioner of those dharmas. So he says, Rama says, born of a great kula. Not only knowing the dharma, you are a practitioner of dharma. Dharma charini. Kule magati sambhute. Dharmagye dharma charini.
after that he says, Shrunu. Beloved, listen to me. Janaki. I have to tell you something. She's all ears. Yes, my lord, she says. You know my father Dasharatha? He has split the kingdom into two. Into two? Yes, Janarajya and Vanarajya. The way he handles the issue, no? At such a sensitive point of time, if you have the guts to joke, then you're the greatest, most courageous person on earth. He says, yes, my father has split the Rajya into two, Janarajya and Vanarajya. And you know Sita? He has decided to give the Janarajya to Bharata and the Vanarajya to me. So I have to go to the Vana. Not for a long time. Chaturdashahi Varshani. See the way he speaks to her, no? Chaturdashahi, just for 14 years. Now every word matters. Every little word. Chaturdashahi Varshani. What does that he mean? Just a matter of 14 years, not a long period. The way he speaks, anybody will say, oh yes, just for 14. Now 14 years, only then it will strike you. Just a matter of 14 years. But he says this. Immediately, what do you think Sita's reaction would have been? Just assume for a minute you have never read the Ramayana. There need not be some assumptions. Sometimes nobody has read the Ramayana in today's age. You know more about other novels than Ramayana or Mahabharata. So, what would her reaction have been? Oh my God, we are doomed. She doesn't say that. Tears? No tears. She doesn't make a hue or a cry. She doesn't shout at Rama for having been cheated. She doesn't blame him. She doesn't blame Dasharatha either. She doesn't even blame Kaikeyi, the stepmother. Not a single word of abuse, even at this point. And what does she say? 14 years of exile? Wow, that's a great opportunity for both of us to be together. After a long time, we are going to have some time together. All these years, 12 years in Ayodhya, after my marriage life, I've seen you so busy with these administrative official duties. After so many years, we are going to have some peaceful life. We are going to do Vana Sanchara. I was just waiting for this. Yes, I'm ready. When are we to leave? She says. She was not a fool. She knew that Rama was being cheated by Kaikeyi. But just see how optimistic, how she could face that crisis. That is true women empowerment. Women empowerment is not leaving the husband when he is in stress, when he is in crisis, and talking and taking all the property yourself. That is not women empowerment. That is women selfishness. People think that women empowerment means earning more and more wealth. Husband's wealth is your wealth wealth is your wealth. That is today's policy, no? That is not women empowerment. The power to face the challenge. Sita, the way she took it up. And then Rama says, do you think it's a joke? Do you think it's a joke? I'm telling you, I have to go to the forest. The forest is full of danger, my dear. Sita, dukkamato vanam. It's full of danger. It's full of sorrow. There will be lions and tigers growling at you. It will be really horrible. You can't get food at the right time. You be here, you stay here, Bharata will take care of you. Or if you want, you can go to your parents' place, Janaka. Your father will always take care of you. And then she smiles and she says, I'm not just your Patni, my dear. I'm your Dharma Patni. Every Patni is a Dharma Patni. Why does a woman marry a husband? Not to just have a share in his riches. She says, I have an equal share in your sorrow too. What does the term Dharma Patni mean? I have to follow my Dharma. You follow your Dharma of supporting your father when he is in trouble. I will follow my Dharma of supporting my husband when he is in trouble. You follow your Dharma and I will follow my Dharma. That is the beauty for both of us. She says these words and then she says, Mam samam sukha dukkha yoho. Whether you are happy or whether you're in sorrow, I have an equal share to it. No? I have an equal share to it. Doesn't mean that I have a share only to your riches. Let us both follow the Dharma and make both Dasharatha, Satyasandha, myself a Pativrata, because I'm a Patibhaktam, Pativratam, Deenam. I'm not only your wife, I'm your devotee too. By your qualities, I have been enslaved, and it is my foremost duty to help you out when you are in trouble. And this point, Valmiki says, I wrote this work and I named it Ramayana. But when I read through it, I feel this work should not have been named Ramayana, but I should have named it Sitayana. Sitaya's Charitam Mahat, he says. The author of the work, Valmiki himself says this. Sitaya's Charitam Mahat. He says, Rama is great, no doubt. Rama is great, but Sita is simply great. Simple and great. How could she say so? This only shows, this only proves that she was such a courageous lady. She could have well said, oh yes, I will take rest in my father's place. I will go to Janaka Maharaja's place, and after you finish your exile, you call me. I will come and join you. I'll come for the Pattabhisheka. Definitely I'll be right on time for the Pattabhisheka. She doesn't say that. She follows him to the forest, and even in the forest, even for a single moment, she did not weep or grumble or moan or say, why did I take this decision? Some women, no, at that point they will give a helping hand, and after that they will say, why did I do this? I could have done that other way. But she never does that. And moreover, her courage is proved at the second instance, where not only in the forest, even at Ravana's Ashoka Vana, even at the headquarters of Ravana's own Samrajya, Lanka Samrajya, she was neither tempted by Ravana's wealth, nor did she fear Ravana's force. Ravana could not have a hold on Sita, either by luring her, by showing all the wealth. He shows Sita all his wealth. Sita is not tempted at all. She considers all that to be just a wisp of grass. Every time Ravana comes, she plucks a wisp of grass. And then Trinamantarata Kritva Pratyuvacha Chismita. She considers Ravana as a wisp of grass. Look at the courage she had. She was not just a crying lady, moaning lady. She had so much of courage. She looks at Ravana and threatens Ravana. Ravana, in fact, threatened even the Devatas. Everybody was scared of Ravana, but Ravana was scared of Sita. That is woman empowerment. That is woman empowerment. Where you can face and say no to temptation. When everybody wants to lure you with wealth, lure you with Maya, if you should have the guts to say no to adharma and yes to dharma, that means you are really a courageous lady, a dynamic lady. So that Virya Lakshmi is in her. Lakshmi is not only opulence. Lakshmi is not only affluence, prosperity, abundance. Lakshmi also means courage, Virya Lakshmi. Dhana Lakshmi for wealth, Dhanya Lakshmi for abundance, Griha Lakshmi for building a beautiful property or getting property, Santana Lakshmi for getting progeny, even Moksha Lakshmi for getting salvation. That's why Muthuswami Dikshitar says, anything you need, whether you need success, Vijaya Lakshmi, whether you need courage, Virya Lakshmi, whatever you need, there is our mother Lakshmi to bow down to. You bow down to her, you will be bestowed with all Mangala. Hiranmayim Lakshmi, Hiranmayim Lakshmi, Sada Bhajami Hinamanavashayam Yajami, Hiranmayim Lakshmi, Sada Bhajami Hinamanavashayam Yajami, Chiratara Sampad Pradhan, Chiratara Sampad Pradhan, Chiratara Sampad Pradhan, Kshiram Buddhi Tanayam, Chiratara Sampad Pradhan, Kshiram Buddhi Tanayam, Chiratara Sampad Pradhan, Kshiram Buddhi Tanayam, Harivakshastalayam. बलयामि हिरण्मयी हरिवक्षस्थलालयां हरिणीं चरणकिसलयां करकमलकुवलयां हरकरमणिमय बलयामि हरिवक्षस्थलालयां हरिणीं चरणकिसलयां करकमलकुवलयां हरकरमणिमय बलयामि लक्ष्मीं सदा भजामि हीनमानवाश्रयं त्यजामि हिरण्मयी श्वेतद्वीपवासिनी श्रीकमलाम्बिकां वदां भूतभव्य विलासिनी भूसुर पूजितां वदां श्वेतद्वीपवासिनी श्रीकमलाम्बिकां वदां भव्यविलासिनी भूसुर पूजितां वदां मातरमाब्ज मालिनी माणिक भरणनारां मातरमाब्ज मालिनी माणिक भरणनारां मातरमाब्ज मालिनी माणिक गीतावाद्य विनोदिनी शीतकिरण निपवदन चिरचिन्तामणि सदन शीतकिरण निपवदन चिरचिन्तामणि सदन पीतवसन गुरुगुगमाधुरकान्तां ललिता शीतकिरण निपवदन चिरचिन्तामणि सदन पीतवसन गुरुगुगमाधुरकान्तां ललितां हिरण्मयी लक्ष्मीं सदा भजामि हीनमानवाश्रयामि हिरण्मयी सरिगमदनि हरिवक्षस्थलालयां गमदद्द मदनिन्नि हरिवक्षस्थलालयां हरिवक्षस्थलालयां गमदम गमदनि दम गमदम गरि गमदनि दरि सरि गमदनि दरि रे गमदनि दरि गमदनि दरि मदनि दरि 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 निधरि वक्षस्थलालयां गम गम मदनि दनि दनि दरि हरि वक्षस्थलालयां गमदम गमदनि दम गमदम गमदाम गमगरि सद्दि गरि गम गम मदनि हरि वक्षस्थलालयां सरि दरि दद सरि दद सरि दद सरि दद सरि दद सरि दद रिजा सान रिजा सरि दद सरि दद दनि राम मम ga. Ga ga ma 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 da ma ga ma da da ma ma da ma da ga ma da da ma ga re ga ni. Ga re ga ma ga re ga ni ga re ga ma da ma ga re. Ga re ga ma da ma ni da ma ga re. Ga re ga ma da ni da ni da ni da ma da ma ga ma ga. Ga re ga ma ga re da ni. Ga re ga ma da ma ga re da ni. Ga re ga ma da ma ni da ma ga re da ni. Ga re ga ma da ni da ma ga. Da ma 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 ga da ma 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 da ga ma ma ga ga ma da ma ga ga ma da ma ga ga ma da ma ga ma da ma ga da ma da ga ma da ma ma da ma da ga ma da mama mama ni 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 mama ma da 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 mama ma ga 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 mama ma ga 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 da 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 ga ga ni 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 mama ma ni da ga re ga ma da ni da ni da re sa da da ni da ni da da ni da ni da da ni da ni da 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 ni da ni da da ni da ni da ni da ni da ni da 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 ni da ni da ni da da ni da ma da ni da ni da ma da ni ga ma da ni ga ma sa re ga ma da ni da ni da da ni da ni ga ma da ni da ni ni sa re ga ma da ni da ni ma ga ni da ni ma ga re da ni ma ga ni da ni da ni da ni da ma ga ma da ni da ni da ni da ma ga sa ni da ma ga sa ni da ma ga ma da ma da ma ga re sa re ga re sa re ga ma da 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 ma re ga ma da ni da ni da da
सदयं करकमलकृतकुवलयं मरकटमणिमयवलयामिरण्मयीं लक्ष्मीं सदा भजामि हीनमानवाश्रयं त्यजामि 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 लक्ष्मीं भजामि 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 Woman of wisdom, huh? This is a composition of Muthuswami Dikshita in Raga Lalita. Lalita itself means grace, poise, elegance. And all this is represented by Lakshmi. And I told you Lakshmi not only represents beauty, it represents everything. Virya Lakshmi, Dhairya Lakshmi, Dhana Lakshmi, Vijay Lakshmi. And there have been several instances in the incarnations of Lakshmis. In Sita, Rukmini, Radha, there have been several instances where we could prove their maturity, their wisdom. Now, we have seen many women following the footsteps of Saraswati Devi, like Gargi, Sharda Devi. They all took to knowledge. Many women followed the footsteps of Lakshmi, like Sita, like Rani Jhansi Bai. Our nation, we only know one Rani Jhansi Bai, but our nation has produced hundreds of such Rani Jhansi Bais. There have been so many Rajput princesses, Rajput queens, Rajput mothers who have sacrificed their lives for our nation, for our Mathrubhumi. There have been so many women in following the footsteps of Durga, wherein they have the radiance of that valor, gallantry, that spirit. Like Jijabai, no? The mother of Shivaji, Chhatrapati Shivaji Raja Bhosle. She was the one who molded Shivaji. She was the one who taught him all the intricacies of Dharma. Jijabai was the one who taught him all the subtleties of warfare. And Shivaji says, if not for my mother, I would not have been Shivaji Raja Bhosle. India, every Indian man would say this, would have to pay his respect. Every great man would have to salute his mother, because without the sacrifice of his mother, he would be nowhere. A mother or a wife or a sister. Behind every man's success, there is a woman, and behind every woman's success, there is a man too, equally. Every man and a woman, only if they work complementary and harmonious, this equilibrium of the entire cosmos will be maintained. And so I would like to end this Harikatha with a beautiful story of a daughter of a prostitute. It's a very interesting story. Out of hundreds of women devotees, see, women have contributed in various fields. I was just taking some women following the footsteps of Saraswati, some women following the footsteps of Lakshmi and Durga. There have been many women who have contributed to the field of art, devotion, bhakti, literature. There have been so many. Meera, Andal, Janabai, Muktabai, Sakubai, Avvayar, Mangayar Karsi, the invocation song that Srimati Vanita Siddharth sang for us. It was composed by my revered brother-in-law, Dr. R. Ranganji, for the purpose of this program, Women of Wisdom, wherein he quotes many women, each woman. If you look at the invocation verse, it says, Pativritya Parayana Janakaja. Janakaja is Sita. Sita exemplifies chastity. Lakshmi hi Virangana, Jhansi Rani and other Lakshmis exemplify that valor. Gargi Jnanavati. Gargi exemplifies wisdom. Prapatti Parama Goda. Goda Andal exemplifies that Sharanagati Tattva, surrender. Daya Sharada. Sharada Devi exemplifies compassion. Dhi Shaktir, that dynamism, that bravery, that is represented by none other than Drupadatmaja, Draupadi. Sahanaja Kunti, the tolerance, that is exemplified by Kunti, Kunti to Pandupriya. Tareyam Chatura. Tara was such an astute politician.
We generally tend to think that only upper caste ladies have always been respected in India, and caste has always been a barrier for respect. But if you look at the Ramayana or the Bharat, Tara was a Vanara Patni. Mandodari was a Rakshasa Patni. Shabari was a tribal woman. And Rama gave the vision, the darshan as Vishnu, Lord Vishnu, to all three of them. Did caste come as a barrier? Never has caste been a barrier for respect to women. Respect always transcends all barriers. And even in the Mahabharata, Satyavati, the foremost queen, the most important queen, she was a fisherwoman. How can caste come and interfere within the limit? How can it ever interfere with respect and reverence? Tarayam Chatura. Tara was an astute politician, though she was a Vanara Patni. It was she who advised Vali not to go for Yuddha against Sugriva because she had that intuition that Sugriva was getting help from somewhere. Most probably it could be Rama, she said. She had never seen Rama. But she was such an astute politician. There have been women politicians too. Tapassu Shabari. Shabari exemplified tapas. Kavya Shubhavva. Avva is Avvaya. So he writes about these women who have exemplified. Kavya is the charm of the poem, the poetry. Avvaya, through her preachings, she taught so much to the world. So there have been so many women contributors, more and more. My revered father-in-law has written a work called Sati Vijayam, wherein he writes the history of more than 100 women, not only who have contributed towards the field of devotion, but mostly heroic women, mostly Rajput women, like Padmini, like so many women who had given their lives, who had sacrificed their lives for the nation of Bharat. And today, as I told you, I would end with an interesting story. There was this daughter of a prostitute. She was called Chintamani. She was very beautiful. She knew to dance. She knew to sing. One day, she was teaching her caged parrot to chant the names of Lord. Though she was the daughter of a prostitute, she did not take up to that profession. She had a very stern bent of mind that she would only belong to Lord Krishna. She was a Krishna's devotee. So she was teaching her caged parrot to chant the names of Lord Krishna. She said to the parrot, say Govinda. The parrot would screech in its sugary, honeyed voice. It would say, Govinda, Govinda. She would simply take delight in hearing the name of Govinda. And she would say Madhava, my dear. And the parrot would say, a screeching voice, it would say, Madhava, Madhava. This caught the attention of a young, handsome man who was strolling the street, was passing by. His name was Bilva Mangala. This Bilva Mangala, suddenly he turned his head to see this beautiful woman. Everything about her was aesthetic. Everything about her was artistic. And he was completely fascinated by her art, by her music, by her dance, by her beauty, by her Krishna prema, by her devotion to Lord, that he felt that she was his guru. No matter even if she is the daughter of a prostitute, she would be my guru. And this Bilva Mangala, every day he used to come. He used to spend a lot of time together with Chintamani. He used to converse about Krishna prema, about devotion. He used to sing along with her. The whole day he spent with her. One night, it was literally pouring cats and dogs. It was raining severely. It was a torrential downpour, and the river was in spate. His house was on the other part of the river, and not even considering the danger of losing his life, he swam all the way to meet this Chintamani. She was really surprised. She looked at Bilva Mangala and she said, you have come here even considering your life is trivial. This only shows how much you love me. And he said, yes, I love you so much, and I'm so fond of you, and I know you're so fond of me. She smiled back and she said, if only I could have the same amount of love for my Krishna, I would have seen my Krishna ages back. If only I could have placed the same amount of love that you have shown to me, if I could have loved Krishna so much, I would have seen him face to face. And Bilva Mangala, you are my inspiration, she said. Bilva Mangala was just wondering what she was going to do. She just entered the same river, which was in flood, which was in spate, which was just then swam across by Bilva Mangala. She entered the river and she said, I'm going to Brindavan. You are my guru. And she said, she swam all her way to Brindavan, considering herself as a Gopika. There she saw Krishna. There have been many songs that Chintamani had composed on Krishna. She lived a very peaceful life at Brindavan. She taught herself as Gopika and she saw Krishna. All this, Bilva Mangala was standing there on the other part of the river. He was really stunned. He was shocked. He thought that Chintamani was fond of him. And now Chintamani had proved that true love befits the Lord and only the Lord. This became an eye-opener for that Bilva Mangala. He got transformed. And he got transformed into none other than the author of the great work Krishna Karnamritam. This Bilva Mangala became Leela Shukar. Leela Shukar is the author of that great Krishna Karnamritam. He was inspired by the daughter of this prostitute. What if the Kula is a prostitute Kula? It is the intention which is important. She says there are so many people, so many women who belong to that Kula, but they did not take up that profession. And they say, I might not have that Shuddha Bhava. O Lord, Kanu Patra says in one of the Abhangs, I don't have that pure Bhava, but you have that Swabhava to protect me. My Bhava is not good, but your Swabhava is good. So I depend on your Swabhava and not on my Bhava. I know that I'm a fallen lady. I know that I belong to such a very wretched path, wretched Kula. But I beg, I surrender to you that you should make me your Dasi and I will be only your Dasi and not anybody else's Dasi. Patita tu pavana. Patita tu pavana. Patita tu pavana. Mhanavisi Narayana. Patita tu pavana. Mhanavisi Narayana. Patita tu pavana. Mhanavisi Narayana. Narayana. Patita tu pavanaya. Mhanavisi Narayana. Tari sambhali vachana. Tari sambhali vachana. Vachana. Vidavagavisi jana jana. Vidavagavisi jana. Patita tu pavana. Patita tu pavana. Mhanavisi Narayana. Mhanavisi Narayana. Yati Shuddha nahi bhava. Yati Shuddha nahi bhava. Yati Shuddha nahi bhava. Dushta acharana swabhava. 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 Patita tu pavana. Pavana. Mhanavisi Narayana. Mukhi nama nahi. Mukhi nama nahi. Kanho patra sharana pai. Sharana pai. Kanho patra sharana pai. Mukhi nama nahi. Kanho patra sharana
शरण पाई दीनपति अन्यायी दीनपति अन्यायी दीनपति दीनपति अन्यायी दीनपति अन्यायी शरण आले विठबाई शरण आले विठबाई दीनपति अन्यायी शरण आले विठबाई मी तो आहे आतिहीन नखले कामी आचरण माझे अधिकार नाही माझा अधिकार नाही माझा अधिकार नाही माझा अधिकार नाही भेटी देई विठोबाई माझा अधिकार नाही भेटी देई विठोबाई ठाव देई शरणापाशी तुझी कानु पात्रा दासी ठाव देई शरणापाशी तुझी कानो पात्रा दासी 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 कानु पात्रा दासी विठाबाई तुझी 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 दास विठाबाई तुझी दासी विठाबाई तुझी दास विठाबाई विठाबाई तुझी दासी विठाबाई 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 तुझी दासी विठाबाई तुझी दासी विठला तुझी दासी विठाबाई 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 बाई तुझी दासी विठाबाई तुझी दासी विठाबाई कान्हो पात्रा तुझी दासी तुझी दासी विठा विठा Both are Mariate Abhangs sang by Kano Patra, again the daughter of a prostitute. Her mother wanted to sell her off. She ran off to Pandharpur. There, she does the samarpan of these 5 abhangs, like the samarpan of her Pancha Prana. Imagine, the mother wants to sell her daughter. She runs away to Pandharpur, surrenders at the feet of Pandrinath. He says, these 5 abhangs are my Pancha Prana. Vithala, I want to be only your dasi. I don't want to be the dasi of anybody else. As she sings this, suddenly Vithala appears before her with his hands on his hip, with a makara kundala, with his beautiful face, with his lotus eyes, sharp nose, with his bimbo fruit-like lips, mirror-like cheeks, and divya pitambar on his waist, standing on the yoga pita. He smiles at Kanho Patra and he says, "You're my beloved, Kanho Patra. Don't worry. Don't worry.
From now on, you will be mine. What boon do you want? And she says, what else can I ask? You give me your darshan and you ask me what boon I want. Can you give me a better boon than this darshan? But if at all you want to bestow me a boon, bless me that I should serve all the sadhus for my lifetime. All the sadhus who come here to Pandharpur. And even after my lifetime, I should serve them. But how is that possible? Even after one's lifetime, how can you serve the sadhus? But that was what she had asked for. Immediately, Vitala smiles and he says, you will become the Sthala Vriksha of Pandharpur. You will become the neem tree, Vepamara. Even today, you can see the Sthala Vriksha of Pandharpur is that neem tree. That's none other than Kanhopatra. Vittal says, you will become the Sthala Vriksha, and for all the sadhus who come to Pandharpur, you will give them your shade and breeze. They will enjoy the breeze and shade of not only my Padachaya, of your Chaya too, of your shadow too. So thus, we just think that they were all born of that Devadasikula or that prostitute. We just think cheap of them, no? No. Even the Adhisthana at Tiruvayar for Tyagaraja Swami, that which is there today, that Adhisthana was built by a woman who belonged to that Devadasikula. But she did not take up that profession. And you know what? She was a citizen of this Bengaluru. Whom do you know? Bangalore Nagaratnammal was that legendary woman who built the Adhisthana for Tyagaraja Swami. Kula does not matter. Gotra does not matter. Caste does not matter. Nation does not matter. It is the intention which is important. That intention, all these women showed, they proved to the world that if you're truly sincere, then God will seek you. If you're just so, you have to seek God. But if you're truly best, God will seek you. God will seek you and help you through everything. So what we conclude this session, what I pray to that Lord Almighty, is that our nation, our Bharatavarsha, our Matrubhumi should produce more and more and more girls following the path of Sita, should produce more and more Sitas, should produce more and more Draupadis, should produce more and more Jijabais, more and more Sharda Devi, more and more women who could follow the path of Sita, who could follow the noble qualities that our ancient Indian women upholded. I just pray that the nation would rise to its beautiful ancient form, that beauty that India had in the Vedic times. I just pray that the women are truly empowered by these noble qualities. Empowerment comes from the nobility, not from outside. It has to come from inside. And if the nation can produce such women, our nation would rise to its former glory. And hence we conclude this session with respect to our Matrubhumi, which has produced so many chaste women, so many women of wisdom, so many women of will, so many women of courage, so many women of chastity. This Bharatavarsha, this Matrubhumi, none other nation could have produced so many chaste women. That Indian spirit of womanhood should come back to its former glory. And hence we all pray together that the Lord fulfills our wishes. Vande Mataram, Vande Mataram, Vande Mataram, Vande Mataram, Vande Mataram, Sujala, Sufala, Malaya Jashitala, Sarasya Shamala, Mataram, Vande Mataram, Sujala, Sufala, Malaya Jashitala, Shamalam Mataram, Vande Mataram, Vande Mataram, Shubhra Jyotsna Pulakita Yamini, Pulla Kusumi Drumadala Shobhini, Shubhra Jyotsna सुमधुरभाषिणी सुखदां वरदां मातरं वन्दे मातरं सुखदां वरदां मातरं वन्दे मातरं वन्दे मातरं वन्दे मातरम्